Hey, everybody. Welcome to yet another edition of Deep Fat Fried, starring the great, the one, the only Scotty, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, fire the other two losers.
Woo!
And behind Scotty, of
Scotty!
course, the producer and heart and lifeblood of
And
the show.
sole owner.
Chauncey.
There he is. You see him back there?
Chauncey Dubones, our gracious producer.
Guys, I think it's an important to take time to clear things up. People have asked, because, I can understand why they'd ask this. Who owns the show? Who creates the show? Who is responsible for the show? And TJ, can you let me if I can move a little bit. It's Chauncey. He's sitting back there. He's always watching us.
Chauncey.
Always giving us feedback and advice. And we decided, hey, maybe this skeleton here, maybe he's onto something.
Well, he's been in so many films, too. I mean, he has the gravitas of... if you've never been in the room with Chauncey...
All the way back from
you don't know.
Jason and the Argonauts.
I mean, he was in Jason and the Argonauts.
He doesn't like the brag guys.
Chauncey was in, Raiders of the Lost Ark. He was in every... Indiana Jones movie, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I won't bore you with his laundry list of accomplishments because he's an actor, he's an artist, he's a debutante, he's a fucking a wise man, a healer. I don't know, Scotty. Is there anything else you would add to that list? I mean, it just keeps going on and on.
And 100% owner of this show.
Yes.
And as 100% owner, he is telling me now to shill Deep Fat Fried podcast tickets to the big event.
That is right.
Friday, September 6th, 2019, 9 p.m., doors at 8.
And remember, this is an 18-plus meetup, so if you've been waiting for one of those, I know a lot of people ask us about them every time we do a meetup that's 21+.
And maybe you're thinking to yourself, I'm not in New Orleans, or I'm not in that area or whatever, but the great thing is that, the whole city's fun.
Yep.
So, you don't have to come just for us.
Hell no.
Make a fucking weekend of that shit.
Dude, the food, if you're
Check
a
out
fat...
Bourbon Street,
Dude,
go get some fucking po' boys, go get some muffaladas.
Fat neckbeards are overrepresented at all of our meetups. And if
Absolutely.
you're a fat neckbeard, you love food, and New Orleans is like a food tourist's dream.
It
Every
is.
fucking little hole in the wall you go to has a fucking amazing dish. Come and be with us. Be in the zone for that few hours. Drink, party, have fun.
Paul, you've talked to me about an interesting possibility for a opening act and some...
Oh, yeah.
A new Deep Fat Fried song.
That is true. That we're in the very early stages of booking a musical act for you guys that I think a lot of you will recognize, and a song is being written specifically for the meetup.
That's
I've heard
awesome.
So
it's
you
awesome.
come
Some
see
more details soon.
more shit's happening. Big stage show, hang out with us, take pictures, get shit signed, whatever the fuck you need to do.
Yeah, we'll sign your bald spot, your butt
Yeah.
cheeks. I don't give a
Bring
fuck.
a tattoo gun. I'll tattoo my name across your forehead.
Yeah.
We don't care.
I
We'll
mean,
do
as long
anything.
as you bring a rubber glove I can put on, I'll sign your nutsack or
We're
whatever you
trained
want. I don't give a
monkeys
fuck.
for you, basically.
You want my signature on your
Have you-
balls?
have you
Come
ever-
get it.
Have you ever signed someone's nuts?
I've never signed a ball bag. I signed a few pair of titties though at meetups. Have you got? I know you.
Yeah.
I've the titties that were brought to me already had your scribblings on them, so I know.
That must
Yes, I know. I know that both of you have signed a
Sometimes you gotta
titty.
sign a pair of titties.
I don't give a fuck.
Hey,
I'm honored, Dave.
I've signed man titties, too.
I have too.
Yep. Dude,
I've signed hairy titties and smooth titties, big titties and small titties. I really have.
Yep.
Oh,
and I
dude,
will
Paul,
continue
you
to.
signed that dude's jacket in fucking Albuquerque. Remember that? We had to pull
We'll
his
sign
jacket
your
all
shirt.
taut.
Yeah.
We'll
That's
sign
pretty
your
cool
book.
one.
We'll sign your poster. We don't give a shit.
Give a shit. Sign
And
your underwear.
And Paul will sign your nuts.
We'll sign any
I'll sign your
goddamn
balls.
thing.
If you
bring
me
a fucking pen.
bring a glove
If
though.
you bring a glove.
I'm not going to touch your balls.
Oh yeah, of course, gotta be
But
sanitary.
I will sign them. You'll have to stretch the skin, you'll have to do the scrotal stretching, and I will sign.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
so
dude.
all
Give a
kinds of, who knows what'll happen at the Deep Fat Fried
Now
podcast.
I
meetup.
fucked myself because at least 3 dudes are going to walk up
Oh,
and be like,
dude.
sign my balls. Sign my nuts. Fuck, man. I don't want to be signing nuts all night.
Oh, no, you said it, dude.
All
You
right, the
fucking
first
said it.
dude to approach me and ask
All
for his balls signed will get it, and everybody else will be denied.
I want to know
It's a
about dude, when
first
that
come,
happens,
first serve.
I'm gonna be right there,
Yeah.
dude.
More
Oh,
like first
documented.
serve,
Yeah,
first
I wanna
come.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what
All right,
happens.
so and that's going to be also reminder. There's 2 different tiers of tickets. There's the VIP tickets,
The
and
VIPs.
there's the normal motherfucker tickets, general admission. The VIPs, you get in early. You get to do a meet and greet from 7 to 8 p.m., where there will be free booze.
Yep.
which is very attractive to some of you. I know there's a lot of alcoholics in our audience.
And
a lot
free
of people,
food. There's a lot of fatties.
There's not free food.
There's not?
No, there's not
No.
free food.
I thought there was free Okay, well,
There's
whatever.
free booze, and
Paul's
there
lying,
is.
God damn it.
Don't lie to the fucking audience, Paul. There's free booze, and there's. I think you could pay for food.
Oh, that's
but
dope. At
there's
least there's
free
food.
booze.
We were led to believe they'd be punching.
There hasn't really been food at a lot of our previous meetups.
No, not really.
Which ones had food?
I think
think of
the
any.
Mint did, didn't they?
The Mint.
The Mint did.
The Mint offered some
I don't
pub
think
food.
too many people actually ate.
No.
I think that fucking place in Albuquerque for the DP meetup had food too.
Oh,
that bar.
weird karaoke thing.
No, the pool hall.
The pool.
Oh
hall.
yeah, it did. You're right.
But there was
a
You get,
karaoke
like
thing
finger
there,
food
too.
and shit there. Yeah, that's true.
That was a weird place in general. You
it
could
was
tell
a good meetup though.
You could tell people had been stabbed to death on that floor. So
Yeah,
I
over-
thought somebody was gonna get stabbed to death because those neckbeards were like standing all close to people trying to actually play pool,
nice shot,
bumping into them and shit.
the best thing that happened, dude, during that event was I was like talking to this old dude, and I'm like, "Oh, so you like the show?" Or something came up about it, and he's all like, "You don't even know what the fuck this is. I saw people smoking weed." And I'm
Yeah,
like,
dude, I smoked a fat joint with that dude, and the
was like-
same shit happened to me.
And the dude just bust out a big ass joint. He's like, "You gotta share with me. I'll share with you." And it's I'm like,
I don't even know what's going on, but
he shared a bunch of pot with us though.
Well,
so,
that works.
I mean, hey.
He was kind of sitting on the periphery, and like there was a circle of people around me, and we were passing a J, kind of trying to be discreet. And I was like, "Hey, dude, pass it to that guy right there." And he was like, "Dude, I'm not even a fan. I'm just chilling here because I saw you guys were too." And I was like, "Come on, man." He joined the circle. He was a cool old guy.
I
We
know,
might
dude.
have gained a fan. I don't know if he has a computer or a cell phone.
is it now?
He didn't seem like the type.
He doesn't have nothing.
But if he
Paul.
gets one, maybe he'll look us up.
maybe, probably not.
Hopefully, the
So
fucking,
TJ, I hate to do this for you right here during the banter, but could you find me some like, you know that dun 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 dun, dun the monster kind of
that-
music?
Oh yeah, dude. TJ, you know that?
I forgot to ask you to do this before the show. So as a professional podcaster, I actually thought of it right before the show, so I can be forgiven.
Yeah, TJ, you need to fucking pull some ominous shit.
All right. A giant walks among us. A great shaggy and reeking thing, which sits in place day in and day out, filling its gullet with savory meats and cheeses, flavored with only the rarest of spices. In his den, the smell of his neglect is palpable. His long hair lies lank and damp from his impossibly large and misshapen skull. His beady eyes portend a malice and evil that is matched only by his odor and gluttony. His great swinging segments have swallowed many a man, woman, and child. Entire herds of livestock have disappeared down his cavernous throat, and yet his hunger is not sated. Sweetbreads, cakes, casseroles, and pies. You know this to be true, Scotty. All of these, enough to feed a legion of men on a solid 1-year march. These are but a snack to him. Should you smell the odor of vinegar, so pungent that it makes your eyes water, you will know you are near his lair. And yet, the beast before us is but a runt, a puny thing amongst giants.
What?
A watered-down relic of a bygone age when men as tall as trees strode the land, marauding, pillaging, and devouring all in their sight. The giants took what they wanted, slew any in their way, and ruled over us minuscule things with unfathomable cruelty. Are you ready for the giants and shit episode, TJ? Did that get you hyped, TJ?
Paul,
I wrote a whole piece of fiction about a Grendel-like character. Did you hear it?
I don't know anyone like that.
Oh man, dude, I'm fired up. Whoo!
I mean, look, a few times did I say you must stand and applaud something so beautiful, dude, but I'm gonna have to do it right now.
Oh my God, Scotty. Oh, you're too kind. Thank you. I'm humbled before you. Thank you. Thank you.
Boo.
Paul, please take a bow.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you, Scotty. That is a rare thing from Scotty, and I appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah, dude.
I've seen maybe one Scotty ovation, maybe two in my entire time of knowing him, so I'm glowing.
Never have I heard someone more accurately described in that poem than TJ.
What? That wasn't about TJ. It was a fictional character that I thought up in my mind.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. Not TJ.
Not TJ. Yeah. The anti-TJ. But really, TJ, you are a tall guy. Like, amongst the normal populace,
No.
You're a tall guy.
No!
Okay, come on.
He's actually short.
You don't have to act the part now. I mean, maybe I'll cast you if I ever do a movie about not TJ. Because you have the look and the smell.
Fee, fi, fo, fum. Load beard Paul and spray him with cum.
Oh, TJ.
I think you're saying
don't let your fantasies
drown
out.
him in cum, TJ. Drown him.
Yeah, you could. If you were a true giant, TJ, it wouldn't be smear me and cum.
Maybe if I'm
You would drown me.
Let me ask you this: What if I'm a true giant, but
Uh-huh.
I'm a midget of the giant race?
Well, then you're still the puniest giant ever,
But
and,
that's-
and indistinguishable. Fuck, why did I have a
and
indistinguishable from the rest of the populace in terms of your height? I mean, it's an outlier, but you're not super tall.
yeah, there's like 7 foot.
I mean, we're gonna talk about a guy.
out there.
We're
Let's
going to
be
talk about
honest,
a guy right now when TJ gets back from whatever he's going to go do. What are you going to go do, TJ, you piece of shit? None of my business? So now I have to vamp at the beginning of my giant episode
Dude,
of that.
TJ is like.
He's trying to steal my thunder back
Yes.
from that fucking epic intro, isn't he, Scotty?
Of course he
You
is,
know,
dude.
you know him. Trying to halt my momentum. This motherfucker.
You know what? That's a strategy, Paul. It's a time.
Divide and
time
conquer.
Again. Yep. Well, not only divide and conquer, but just like you break your rhythm.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, TJ's just a master at doing that. If we have
Yep.
to analyze TJ's move here, I mean, it's definitely.
It's a rhythm breaker.
Paul's on a roll, and
I
then
was
TJ
launching into the top of the episode. The banter was over. You know what I mean? And now here we are, spinning our wheels in the TJ mud, waiting for him to go get another slice of bologna or some shit. That's what if he comes back with another giant slice of bologna
going
and
to.
cheese, I'm going to die. Dude, come on.
We were trying to figure out why TJ, we're talking about big things, has gotten fatter eating at home because TJ used to eat out a ton, and he fucking has basically cut it down significantly. It's not, but he's actually gotten fatter, staying home eating his own.
Don't be
food.
mean.
He has. Look at him. TJ, stand up, TJ.
Yeah, show the people.
Show the people how you look now. Your current thing.
Yeah,
Your
there you
current
go.
weight, your current physique, TJ. And I'm trying to get TJ to lose fucking weight, dude. I've been trying to, but he fucking will
I
not.
think it might be time because I don't think I'm the fattest nugget in the fryer anymore. You know what? Fuck it. You want me to take my shirt off too? We'll do a side by side.
You guys might as well.
I want the controversy over. Who's fatter, Paul or TJ?
That's
Here
a
we go.
Side gut.
Okay, side gut.
Okay, so we gotta start with side
I
gut,
gotta make
TJ.
sure my pants don't fall down, for fuck's sake. Okay. Here we go. Here we go.
Oh my god, what does the show become? All right. Okay, front gut.
Front gut. All right, step
TJ,
this way a little bit, TJ. This way.
Closer to Paul.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
Front gut. Oh man.
Gut.
Ball.
TJ's way hairier than Paul.
Paul's got some. Paul's man titties. Oh, Paul, your man titties are almost on. Ooh, TJ.
They're almost on par with TJ's.
They are. They're close.
I got
gut.
a little saggy belly down here, but I think he's got more belly mass.
He's gone outward more. He's got bigger love
All right, you wanna
handles.
go side profile? Okay,
Let's do our side. Other way, TJ. No,
Back this way.
more towards Paul.
All right.
Damn, TJ. Paul's hangs over in a different way. It's interesting how even fat's different.
Yeah, I got like a Dunlap. Well,
Paul's-
lift up your belly. And
You know what?
Yeah, yeah. See,
I have to
look-
say-
wait. Oh, dude, look.
He's got more belly fat, dude.
Yeah.
Paul's got like the dad bod. TJ's got the like uncle that hasn't had fucking kids bod.
Uh-oh.
I don't know, TJ. I think fucking you got fucking Paul beat by a country mile, dude. Your fat is similar in like the way it's like it sits on you. I mean, your segment's a little bit more, TJ. But I'd say overall, your fat is just more like bulbous.
Yeah.
You know,
Cool.
it comes out more.
So I gotta change that on the subreddit. I
Yeah.
gotta have you change that. for
I'm
me.
the fattest fucking peasant. Or not peasant.
peasant.
We haven't been peasants
Oh
for a while.
my God, TJ!
Man, you've eaten yourself
the
back
fuck,
to peasanthood.
What the fuck, TJ?
We ascended to kinghood, TJ.
What the fuck?
No
TJ?
longer are we peasants.
You know, I made that mistake on the first episode of the show, TJ, but I mean,
Well, I made it
goddamn.
on the-
Oh yeah, early on
I
we all
mean,
did.
Yeah, come on,
I made it on the
TJ.
640th
I know, that's what I'm
episode.
saying. Like, 20 years later, welcome to Drunken Peasant. Oh, shit, man.
Whatever.
Fuck.
So what? I guess let us know in the comments who you think
What are you eating?
the fattest nugget in the fryer
Huh?
is.
What are you eating?
Because I don't think I have
Are you
claim
eating
to that
potato
title
salad?
anymore.
No, it's not a potato salad. What are you talking about?
What is it?
It's a white Russian. It's a frozen white Russian.
Oh, okay. Well, that didn't make a lot of sense. Why, TJ, why are you killing Paul's momentum? Are you jealous right now, TJ? Oh, dude, he is.
He is.
Why do?
Whoa, what the fuck is
Oh,
that?
dude.
What are you eating?
Paul, why don't you start this episode? Because
I
I don't
just
think
answered that.
I don't think TJ's ever gonna let us start.
All right, well, do you have a free hand? Can you pull up the first picture?
I
Can you
guess
do that
I
for me,
could,
TJ?
maybe.
This is a man, and this is him at 13 years old, by the way.
Cool.
This is a man.
So he's already fucking... Man, how do you even control a teenager that can fucking choke slam you through a table?
Right, he's not even at his tallest here. This is Robert Pershing Wadlow. If you've ever been to a Ripley's Believe It or Not museum, you've seen...
Believe it or not, I have.
They all have a statue that is a actual life-size statue of Robert Wadlow.
Yeah, he's
He was
tall
massive,
as
dude.
fuck.
Wasn't he like 8'11" or something?
Yeah, he was
he ate 11
8
people.
foot 11.1 inches tall. He is the tallest person in medical history for whom there is irrefutable evidence.
He had a gigantism? Or
Yes.
is it giantism? I always can't remember what that has.
Yes, he had giantism, or I think either is appropriate,
Okay,
honestly.
cool. Same thing Andre the Giant had. Although Andre, of course, did not get to 8'11".
His greatest recorded weight, and the source I found on this was in kilograms, so I had to fucking do the math on my own, and I might have fudged it a little, but it was 222.71 kilograms, which is 500 pounds.
Cool.
Jesus, dude.
Was his highest weight. He was not a fat dude. He
No.
was proportional.
Do we have a picture of him?
Yeah,
later in
keep
life?
going. Keep moving through.
There we go.
This is him standing next to a guy that's 6 feet tall.
So I am about 5 to 6 inches taller than the guy standing next to him.
Mm-hmm.
So that means I'd be about up to his nipples.
Yeah, you would be able to suckle his nipples without standing on your tippy toes. Possibly.
Damn.
No, I would not be able to suckle them. I think I'd be if my calculation about where his nipples
Yeah.
are in his body is correct, then it'd basically be the top of my head would reach them.
Yeah, go ahead and go to the next one, too. I pulled like 3 or 4 here. This is another picture of him
Now
that's
this
just astounding.
is just preposterous.
I
It's
mean,
hard. This really, literally, I mean, this is a believe it or not. I mean, obviously you have to believe it happened, but
Right.
it's just fucking crazy. You know, they should make a movie about this fucking guy.
Dude, yeah, that'd be
I don't
interesting.
know how they would. I mean, yeah, it's a good use for CGI if they cast the right actor.
Well, I think they
and the
should
right
do it the same way they did Lord of the Rings, where they just use like forced perspective to kind of create
they
the
could only
illusion.
do that to a limited extent. If you look at his hand,
Yeah.
one of the things that was peculiar to him, and he's walking with a cane, is he was very malformed. Like
Yeah.
in certain ways, his spine was a fucking mess. He had horrible back problems. He could barely walk
Well,
towards
a
the end
human
of his life.
being's not
His
supposed to
hands
be
were
that
very
big.
crippled in a way that you can see because of they just didn't have as much room to grow as the rest of his body, and so they became very kind of unusable.
Well, I mean,
He
if
couldn't
you
drive.
watch-
He couldn't walk. He was so
Yeah.
obviously huge next to people that using forced perspective shots seems cheap. If you're gonna do, they need to make.
I
this
think it
guy,
looks a lot better than using CG.
I don't know. Maybe it'll get good enough.
I mean, most of the I think all of the shots actually in the original Lord of the Rings, they didn't use any CG to make the actors look smaller. It was all forced perspective.
Yeah. So a few more facts. His shoe size was a huge 37 AA, 47
fuck?
centimeters long. He
I mean,
had a-
obviously, any of this, all this shit's custom made. There's no other human being that could possibly wear
No.
this shit.
no, he had to, and he had to have everything he had. He couldn't travel in a normal car
Right.
at this time. Like these cars were not built for tall people already, and he was literally 2 feet taller than the tallest person that would ever get in one of those cars. So he had to travel in a special conveyance. He made a lot of public appearances. He really was thankful for the attention that he got, seemingly, from what I could
mean,
find.
he probably needed.
Yeah, and a
that
lot of it
to
probably
finance
supplemented his
fucking
life.
existence. And he only lived to be what, 38 or something like that.
Yeah.
It was a real short lifespan.
So his arm span I pulled was something like 9 feet or some shit.
Didn't they? Oh no, this is just.
It was ridiculous.
Well, we shows him stretching out here. I mean, like this is obviously
And he's at
it
13
got bigger
years
than
old.
this at 13
Right.
because he's 13.
He
but,
could
I mean,
carry his father at 10 years old.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
He could pick his dad up like a dude would pick up a small lady and carry his dad around at 10.
Right.
That's crazy.
And I mean, this is a very debilitating illness.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was wrong about that. 9.
Oh, okay, shit.
9?
His last words were, "The doctor says I won't get home for the celebrations," which was a reference to his paternal grandparents' golden wedding.
Yeah, and that's crazy. I mean, this is a very debilitating illness. I mean, you go watch Andre the Giant, who once again had the same thing.
And he actually wasn't killed
Yeah.
by his giantism or
Oh, really?
gigantism. He actually died as a result of a septic blister on his right ankle caused by a brace, which had been poorly fitted only a week earlier.
Yeah.
So he
I
actually
mean, doctors are trying to. I mean, in an indirect way, you could say, because I mean, obviously, I'd imagine the reason it wasn't fitted properly is because no one has had to fit a foot that size.
yeah, there's just like, you're looking at it. I mean, he's basically twice the size of everyone around him.
His peak daily food consumption to maintain a healthy weight was 8,000 calories a day. This was not being a bodybuilder, just existing as a pretty sedentary human being.
Right.
That's more than 3
So his-
times the
his
amount
base
recommended
metabolic
for a
rate-
normal human male.
His base metabolic rate had to have been somewhere around there.
He was
then.
eating it. Yeah, he needed 8,000 calories to not lose weight.
Let me tell you how many let's figure out how many Oreos that is.
Yeah, that's a lot of fucking Oreos, dude.
Oreos, calories.
You could probably eat like 2 packets of Oreos and
Okay,
be
so
fine.
an Oreo has 53 calories a cookie.
How many are in a package?
So let me just read this blurb.
Go ahead.
At the age of 9, he was able to carry his father, Harold F. Wadlow, later the mayor of Alton, who stood 5 foot 11 inches tall and weighed 170 pounds, up the stairs of his family home. A 9-year-old.
Right. So you could carry him upstairs.
So it wasn't just like he could pick his dad up and carry him around for a bit. He could literally pick him up and carry him up the stairs.
Well, dude, just think about this.
It's huge.
If this dude wanted just to like kill everyone in this room, he'd have no problem doing that.
I don't know about that. Like at this point in his life, he was pretty hobbled and limited in his motions. Like I said, his spine was fucked because you can imagine.
Imagine
Dudes
he
that are
gra-
tall like us, we have more spinal problems than dudes that are like shorter.
Dude,
So like you can imagine if you were fucking 8 feet tall, you know, you've got a sore back out once in a while. Your back will go
All right,
out once
I'll
in a while.
tell you
Think
what,
about what it
so
would be
throw
if you were
that
this
fucking
dude.
kid into that fucking plant.
8,000
I mean, he probably
calories.
could.
8,000 calories is 150 Oreo cookies.
Damn, dude.
But
So-
he was a gentle person. Nobody ever described him as mean or harsh to anybody that walked up to him or asked him a question and stuff. All that information's at all of the fucking Ripley's, believe it or not.
I'll tell you what, that
museums.
really takes some because he was approached from the day he was
Oh,
fucking,
yeah.
Born to the day he fucking died.
Everything I could find said he was just like a warm and welcoming person. He'd shake any hand. He'd sign any fucking autograph. He'd make any appearance, as long as they'd accommodate him. Just a nice dude.
But
And,
how big was his dick?
How big was his dick?
How big was his fucking dick?
I couldn't find it, TJ. I knew you would ask. I looked. I tried to look at what. I mean, you can try if you want.
So that's about 3.5 or so packs of Oreos, by the way. Not half, like 3 and some change.
like
So, I mean,
full like family
full- yeah,
size packs.
Normal size pack
Yeah,
of
like-
Oreos.
with the 3 rows of
Yeah.
cookies.
Yes.
Or 4 rows, whatever it is.
Dude, he could
Yeah.
just eat
Those are
one of
obviously
a day.
super calorically dense. But,
Yeah, but he could do it and not probably gain weight from it.
and that's not to reach his beyond the limit. That's just to reach like
What he needs.
that's just to reach the calorie allowance of a day. Like if he ate as many Oreos as I overeat Oreos for my size, he'd probably be eating like 6 packs of the fucking things.
So this is, once again, not to repeat myself, but as we launch into the next segment here, this is the largest person that ever existed for which there's any kind of scientific proof, irrefutable proof.
Okay.
So there may have been bigger people in history. There may have not been, but likely not. Robert Wadlow seems to be a huge outlier, like some people are for the smallest people. But when I started this episode, and once again, this is true for a lot of topics as we dig in, I found myself like buried in shit. That like I didn't even know how many different cultures had giant mythology. I thought I did. I had no fucking clue. And so I found myself kind of inundated with information. And so I tried to pick just a few of the most badass ones, like that I found sprinkled around. We'll look at a couple different mythologies. We'll take a look at the giants in popular culture a little later too. But these are Cyclops. Do you recognize that, TJ?
I can't really see the whole one-eyed thing.
Well,
but
you see the guy sitting over there with the hammer. You can only see one eye for a purpose.
Yeah.
You can see the eyelash or the brow line.
Right.
So, yeah, these are Cyclops and
Cyclops.
or Cyclopes.
Cycl-
Sometimes called the Greek, whatever. You don't need to know how it's spelled, which means round eyes.
Round eyes.
Were the children of Gaia and Uranus or Uranus
Your anus.
or Uranus if you're a 12-year-old.
So, children of Gaia and your anus.
Real mature, TJ.
No wonder you were covered in shit, Paul.
The names of the first generation of Cyclopes were Brontes, meaning thunder, Steropes, meaning lightning, and Argus, meaning thunderbolt. And that'll make a little more sense as we go on. But, well, I mean, I don't really want to get too deep into the lore and mythology of the Cyclops. But they were imprisoned by the Titans inside Tartarus. They were freed by Zeus before the battle between the gods and the Titans, hoping that to recruit them, to the side of the gods. And they repaid this kindness for releasing them by forging his thunderbolt. So these are important pieces of foundational Greek mythology.
They're basically they're the forgers. They're making the fucking weapons of the gods, basically.
And they gave it not only its lightning strike, but its sound as well. So they forged the thunder. They made thunder.
Cool.
So these are very central and important
So
things.
how big were these fuckers?
Well, it's hard to tell because they're described sometimes in cubits in different sizes. We'll get to the size problems with giant mythology later. But they were the same size as the gods. They would dwarf a normal man.
All right, so how big were their dicks?
That I couldn't find, TJ. I'm sorry.
it.
I looked.
All right, sorry.
If you go to the next picture, this is Polyphemus. If you've ever read the Odyssey,
Oh yeah, dude. I'm well aware of this story.
you'll be aware of this story. It's a pretty classic one. So correct me if I'm wrong, Scotty, and jump in. But the basics are, right, Odysseus and his men are starving out at sea, and they find this island, and they find a
Yes.
cave, and it's full of food. And all the men want to steal the food and shit, but Odysseus is like, nah, dude, we should not take this food. Whoever lives here, let's ask. But the guys start stealing the food. The Cyclops comes and catches them doing it.
And then they're stuck in the cave.
And they're stuck in the cave with him, and he starts eating them.
Yep.
And he eats a lot of them.
And he says to Odysseus, I think it's like, I'll do you a favor, I'll eat you last, basically.
Right. You're right.
He's fucking with him. He's like, I'm going to eat you last.
Right. So he wanted to keep him around. And so he had sheep in the cave.
Yes.
Protected the flock inside of the cave at night from the predators on the island.
He would pet them as they went in and out.
Right. And in the morning, he let them out, and he would pet their heads as they left and their backs as they left to make sure that they were sheep and not men. So Odysseus and his men, I don't know how they did this because I've looked at sheep, and I don't think a normal-sized man wearing armor and shit could strap himself to a normal sheep. So maybe these are big-ass Cyclops sheep or some shit. But they belted themselves underneath the sheep and basically rode the bellies of the sheep out of the cave and escaped Polyphemus after blinding him.
Yeah, I would say, we forgot that big detail. After he's been
So the
blind.
guys at night after he went to sleep all got together, the ones he hadn't eaten, and were like, dude, we got to do something. And they got a big pointy stick and stuck it in his eye and blinded him. And so that's why another reason why Polyphemus had to touch the sheep to make sure, and he couldn't just rely on his vision.
Right. But how big was his dick?
I couldn't.
Considerable.
I couldn't find it, TJ.
Was it considerably large?
You
Because
see-
it looks like he's about to split these bitches in half in the corner of his
Yes.
picture.
I mean, clearly.
And you see the size representation. Now, this isn't classical Greek.
Because
period
even if he's got
art,
a
but-
small dick for the size of being he is, it's still a pretty huge dick.
I mean, yeah, even if he's only packing like what would be our size, a 3-incher or some shit.
Right. I mean, it'd be like practically the size of one of these
It'd be
bitches
10
over
at
there.
least, yeah. Or, you're probably right at that size.
He'd have like a 3 to 4 footer. You know what I mean? It
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
be an inch, it'd be a footer.
Right.
Yeah,
And
so-
who would have a problem with that?
Not these chicks.
And not you either, TJ.
I think that's probably what they're waiting for.
Yeah, I think they're waiting to fucking see if they can survive the fucking
I mean, they're pointing at his dick.
jackhammer of death. Yeah, you can see him pointing like,
Yeah.
we got to take this dick, girl.
Oh yeah, dude. I bet that club is hiding his dick. I bet his dick is right behind that club, girl. Mm-hmm. So anyway, even amongst the Greeks, there were bigger giants, and these were called the gigantes,
Gigantes.
or Genesis, or Genice, depending on the
Whoa.
translation.
Do they have weird tentacle legs?
They didn't always, but at some point in Greek mythology, for some reason that it's not quite clear, this is how they started being described. Now, this is obviously a modern sketch.
Right.
And they probably took some liberties with the appearance. But yes, at one point, giants in Greek mythology had legs like humans and were normally proportioned like humans. And then at some point, they get snake legs.
Cool.
And they start being described as having, 9 slithering snakes as legs.
Damn.
So that's actually the root word of giant is giganais or giganais. It's pronounced a bunch of different ways because Greek has been, interpreted a bunch of different ways.
No, it hasn't, Paul. You just don't know the proper pronunciation.
They're said to be the offspring of Gaia, who got around. She was also
Goddamn, Gaia was fucking
the mother
everybody.
of the Cyclopses, or the Cyclopes.
She was fucking horny. What's the problem with that? T-shirt?
Nothing wrong.
And the blood of wounded Uranus. So Uranus and fucking Gaia, yeah, got together and fucked and made the Cyclopses, and then Gaia.
Is it bad that I canonically just see Gaia from Captain Planet?
No, that's who I look at too. I don't know. Whatever. It's burned into your memory if you grew up in the 90s.
It is.
So, in this case, later versions of this myth simply call them giants, with them being born already wearing armor and armed with spears.
Cool.
Not this guy, though. He's just a slithering reptilian weirdo.
And a little quote from, some contemporary writing. As many drops of blood spurted forth, all of them Gaia received. In the revolving years, she bore the great giants, gleaming in their armor, holding long spears in their hands.
Cool.
So the names of these gigantes, and I won't read them all, but to give you an idea, they are all pretty badass in my eyes, but I like Greek names. There's like Agrius, means untamable.
Cool.
Alsonius means brayer. Aloeus means of the threshing floor.
Whoa.
Clydius means renowned. Enceladus means buzzer.
That sounds like a Taco Bell menu item.
Yeah, Enceladus is not the greatest. Eurytus, I like that one. Eurytus means rapids. Grathium means greater. Hippolytus means stampede. So it goes on and on and on. There were tons of these giants. So once again, very central figures to yet another part of mythology.
It almost sounds like wrestling, dude.
Oh, yeah.
It really does.
They had other nicknames that were like Purple One, Fast, Risker. Pretty cool. So here we are told the battle between the Gigantes and the Olympian gods after the Titans are defeated. So once again, another war had to be fought. And
A lot of naked dudes had to fucking
and it's
wrestle
hard to
with
tell
one another.
because like you can actually tell the difference. So the guys down at the bottom, these are the Gigantes. These are the giants. And up at the top, the reason I can tell is there's Zeus. You see him up at the very top
Yep.
left
very,
corner,
very top.
wielding the
Like on a
thunderbolt
chariot,
that was
yeah.
forged by the Cyclopses for him.
Yeah.
And you can see other various gods. I can't really tell which is which. I think Poseidon is there in the center, or that might actually be Uranus or whatever.
Your anus.
But yeah, so this is kind of how they were portrayed. But these gods were supposed to be they dwarfed a normal man. So these giants were the same size, and in some cases even bigger. So there's a lot of information. There's a huge battle that went on called I thought the name at least was worth talking about, the Gigantomachy.
Gigantomachy.
That's what it's called. It tells us of how these gigantes were defeated by the Olympian gods with the help of Heracles, who was half human, half god. But so Gaia basically got angry about the Titans being imprisoned and these wars being lost, and so she made more giants. It goes on and on and on. It's kind of like a constant, endless war with the gods, with these giant men that are trying to fight against them. The metaphor is pretty clear to me, right? It's like, even if you get as big as we are, even if you're as strong as we are and more numerous than we are, and you're born with these spears, you can't beat us, So it's trying to drive that home to us puny humans, to give them this example of something they could never attain, right? This super size and super strength, and look how fit all these dudes are. I mean, they're all just the prime example of manhood, but 10 times the size. So why would you ever struggle against Zeus or any of the gods? if they can be beaten down over and over and over again as they rise up in these different forms. Cyclops, and then Gigantes, and then the second generation of Gigantes, and then the third and fourth and fifth. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
Cool.
So I thought that was kind of a cool. I learned a lot. I didn't know that giants were so central to Greek and Roman.
I
a lot of
did
this
not know
crossed
that.
over to Roman mythology as well. So there are representations of these kind of giant figures fighting the Roman gods as well.
Well, I'd once
So it's
again
very-
ask you how big their dicks are, but I can actually see in this.
Well, yeah, you can see that they're not packing giant swinging meat here, TJ.
No.
I mean, honestly, with a lot of this with Greek mythology, you hear about like the Titans and you hear about the Olympian gods. You don't hear much about like, and then this giant did this. I mean, maybe occasionally, but that's not like most books don't
No.
bother highlighting that portion of.
That's
the
why I was
mythology.
kind of blown away when I dug into it and found, I could just sit and read off names of giants to you guys for like half an hour, let alone what each one of them did and made them notable, So
This one was called Ball Breaker.
yes, I mean it's just on and on and on, and it's just this. He had this war and he destroyed this city and he made a tidal wave that it's just
But you
all
know what?
on and on and on.
Another thing about this too is the reason why you always hear about battle is because like that's what these are like stories people are going to talk about. Like this is entertainment to people
Right.
to a degree too. So it's not like the gods were all playing fucking
Chess or-
Right, this is like the next episode
like-
of whatever fucking
yeah,
show you're
and
watching.
then the gods had to battle the giants.
Oh god, dude, Scotty announcing the battles of the fucking giants and gods. That would be amazing. But let's look at another culture, a weirder culture in my opinion, and one that people know a lot less about probably. Welsh.
Welsh.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
Celtic kind of culture has a lot of
Welsh
giants.
culture.
We're not going to cover a lot of the really well-known giants.
Well, I remember that time that I did the Halloween episode and I talked a little bit about the Celtic mythology. Their
Yeah.
mythology was fucking weird as shit.
It was awesome though.
Oh, it once again, when I went looking for another ancient culture to take a kind of peek at, I was overwhelmed by the amount of information that there was just in the Welsh,
Yeah.
culture. And we'll look at some of that weirdness a little later. I pulled a fucking amazing video. We won't be able to understand a word of it because it's in Gaelic, but it's worth watching it for a few seconds anyway. Welsh legend and folklore is absolutely full of giants. Most are bad-tempered and cruel. Some are black, and some are even ghostly apparitions of giants
Some are
long
black?
dead. Yeah, some are very
Wow.
obviously represented.
Racism.
Yeah, I guess so.
Damn.
But all are eventually defeated, sometimes through some kind of heavenly intervention, and often by the mythical King Arthur, who is so popular in Welsh tales.
So he's just like the Batman of the day.
Yes.
They just, whenever they need some unbeatable foe beaten, they're like, and then King Arthur showed up and fucked that giant up the ass.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you go to the next one, or wait, go ahead. Yeah, so this is a very popular Welsh fairy tale, or folk tale, I guess would be a better way of describing it now. Probably the most popular if you're from that region. Every school child has to recite this as part of their schooling, or at least did at one point. I don't know if they currently do. But Colwich and Olwen, and I'm probably brutalizing that because there's a lot of consonants in Gaelic.
Just wait, figure
And Welsh.
Just wait for the angry letters from the UK.
Often referred to as the oldest Arthurian tale, was written in c. 1090 and is the oldest and longest to appear in the Welsh Mabinogion, which is like a collection of these crazy fucking tales about Arthur. Set in the court of Arthur, the story tells of the feats of which the hero, Colwich, must accomplish in order to win Olwen, whose father is Ysbaddaden. Ysbaddaden, the chief giant, whose eyes are so heavy. I loved this. I couldn't find a representation of him clearly like this, but listen to this. A chief giant whose eyes are so heavy that they needed to be propped open with forks and spears.
Damn.
Another giant to play a minor role within the tale is Gwarnch, whose sword is needed to complete one of the tasks set by Ysbaddaden. Sorry, there's another dad in there. There's another A.
Ysbaddaden
Yeah.
chicken
It's interesting how these
smart.
stories evolve from like Greek mythology to then obviously 1,000 years later or 2,000 years later you're hearing this kind of like, but it's very similar.
We have video of this shit.
So the original tale is 19 pages long. I won't regale you with all of that, but here's how it ends. Arthur is asked to collect a series of tokens. Mystical weapons, a magical comb. There's a whole laundry list. So here's how the story ends. With the comb in hand, Arthur had succeeded in helping Coleridge fulfill his trials as promised. They made their way back to East Badaden, bringing him every treasure he had required. The gifts he had demanded turned out to be his death wish. When Coleridge asked if Olwen was his, East Badaden replied, "She is, and you need not thank me, rather Arthur, who won her for you. Of my own will, you would never have got her. Now it is time for you to kill me." And with that, one of Arthur's men grabbed the giant and beheaded him. I guess it must have been a big-ass man.
Yeah, I guess so.
Ysbadaden's head was placed on a pole in the wall. Arthur seized the fortress and all the treasures. Coleridge, of course, took Olwen, and the couple was soon married. That's actually a direct translation from the end of the story there.
What is this?
Oh.
Is this the thing?
So this is a rap song that kind of tells the story that we just heard.
Oh, cool.
We don't have to watch the whole thing, but it is interesting. Start at the beginning, though.
Okay.
Definitely let it lead in.
White people are.
Yeah, there's a lot of body
What?
language. You know, you can infer. You can see what kind of
Damn,
going on
dude.
here. There's King Arthur. And there's Coleridge and Olwen. And there's Ysbadaden.
Where's the forks?
Well, see, that's the thing, is like I found a lot of references to that, but I never found him portrayed that way in any art.
Lame. I wouldn't know if this is clever or
Yeah, I don't know.
horrible or
Yeah.
I just kind of thought it was interesting. I really liked. Can you roll it back to Ysbadaden though? I kind of liked that perspective shot that they used. Yeah, roll it back to that and watch that. It's kind of cool, and you can tell it was cheap, but it was effective. Here, yeah, use that. Just play it from there and watch this perspective trick.
Yeah, he's just green screen.
No, look. Yeah, look at that. That's cool. You can tell that was just a dude standing right next to the camera. I don't know. Anyway, so there. The thing I wanted to drive home is that the Welsh people are super hot about this. They love this fucking shit. They love these Arthurian tales where he just goes out and endlessly like helps people defeat giants or helps the gods defeat giant beasts or men or combinations of the two. I mean, they are fucking hip deep in this shit. It's a huge part of their culture to this day, as far as I could see. I found videos that I didn't pull just because I didn't want to dwell on it, but like kids reciting this and smiling ear to ear too. They look like they fucking love it. So whatever. This is like their football, I guess, or whatever. I can't think of an analog
I mean,
here.
shit, they're making fucking music video, like, bad Welsh rap songs.
Wait a minute.
Well, TJ, let's
the
talk about something
fuck,
a little.
dude?
I know, right? I know.
This is an undoctored picture too.
Giants are real.
Totally. I examined the pixels myself.
I'm looking at them now. I can tell when
Well, I'm
something's been
telling you,
doctored, and this is not.
I did the skeptical thing, and I put this thing in Photoshop last night, and I looked at those pixels, and I'm telling you, this is real as they come, TJ.
God damn,
I'm just
dude.
kidding. This is a Christian attempt to justify some stories in the Bible about giant men that used to exist that didn't exist. This was passed off in the early 2000s, as far as I could tell. A really pretty poor Photoshop of a normal-sized human skeleton. I mean, it's not horribly bad, which is why you can see it passed among some Christians. This was presented on Christian websites as a news story announcing that people in Belize or in the Holy Land or wherever the fuck had dug up a giant set of bones. All of it to justify the many mentions in the Christian faith of giants, or as they like to call them, Nephilim. Now,
Nephilim.
Nephilim, you remember? Well, Nephilim free, TJ.
Yeah, I remember.
What do you think about Nephilim free?
I don't.
Yeah, me neither. Not until I have to hear
Not
the word
until
Nephilim.
I hear the word Nephilim.
Ah,
for a
don't
second.
remind me
Then
of
I'm
that
like,
fucking motherfucker's existence.
So these guys kind of, like the other giants, have kind of a badass origin story. They're the violent, superhuman offspring produced when wicked angels, or
Yes.
fallen angels, or in some interpretations, the spirits of fallen angels that decided to forsake God, came down here and copulated with normal women
Yes.
in the days of Noah. So yeah, they were born of that unholy union.
So a bunch of evil angels raped or seduced women, had sex with them, and then these women gave birth to a race of horrible giants.
The biblical account says that the sons of the true God began to notice that the daughters of men were beautiful. Those sons of God were actually spirit creatures who rebelled against God when they forsook their own proper dwelling place in heaven, materialized human bodies, and began taking as wives all whom they chose. That's Jude 6 and Genesis 6:2. So very obviously, like, connected to the devil, because the devil, of course, was at the head of that insurrection. And so kind of his representation here. Also a very useful foil, if you think about it, to have this inherently violent race of men that are rampaging around. Always have a foe. Always have something to justify great acts of cruelty if God destroys a city.
What? No, that's not why at all,
You don't think so?
dude.
You don't think so?
I think that, you know what, Paul, let's be honest. This I'm looking at this skull right here, and I'm just convinced, man. You're saying it's a hoax, Paul, but this skull looks 100% real. These guys don't look like they're not looking at the skull. They actually look like they're helping unearth the truth about giants, Paul, which obviously you're denying.
They are probably bending down and cleaning someone's pool.
I don't think so.
And no, I'm dead serious. They are literally probably cleaning somebody's pool or doing
These
gardening
are
work.
paleontologists,
and somebody,
archaeologists trying.
Who are they then? What are their names, Scotty?
I don't know.
You always demand evidence from me, Scotty. What are their
Dr.
names?
Alan Grant.
I couldn't find it.
And
If you find their names, Scotty, I will be happy to issue a retraction. All I found was giant hoax from the early 2000s.
I don't know where you found that, Paul.
So let me ask you guys a question before we watch a little video, okay?
okay.
Why did God flood the earth, according to Christian mythology?
Wasn't it because man had become, sinful and lost, their path and all that, and
Sure.
had turned against
Yeah,
God?
and to cleanse the earth or something.
Right.
Shit like that.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think we all kind of, at least going into this, had the same interpretation of why God flooded the entire earth, killing literally everybody on it except for Noah and his sons and their wives.
Yep.
And his wife, Noah's wife. So anyway, let's watch a little video here where we're going to learn the true reason that God flooded the earth.
Oh, shit.
okay.
I've
Now
wondered this
tell
for a
me
while.
about the word Nephilim. What does that mean? In the Hebrew, it comes from the verb nephal. It means the fallen ones, and that's the term used. Don't confuse that with the fallen angels. The fallen angels, according to Genesis 6, cohabited with human women to produce a hybrid offspring that are called in the Hebrew the Nephilim. In the Septuagint version of the Old Testament, the translation of the Old Testament into Greek, they use the word gigantes, which is transliterated giants.
We've heard about
and
them.
they did happen to be giants, but that's not what the word means. The word actually means, in the Greek, the earthborn. And so, from the Greek point of view, they're earthborn. From the Hebrew point of view, they're the fallen ones. But either way, they're pointing to a hybrid, and it apparently was part of Satan's plan to contaminate the Messianic line.
But so the purpose of the flood was to get rid of these.
Exactly. That's that's exactly the point. You study verse 9 of Genesis 6. It speaks of Noah that his genealogy was untainted, unblemished, and apparently was a distinctive in that sense. He may not have been the only one unblemished.
Okay. So basically what they're saying is the fallen angels
Oh, shit, dude.
had tainted the human bloodline so bad that God had to start over from
Yep.
just
Look,
Noah and his family.
Yep.
Guys, I hate to say it, but God had a final solution.
Noah and his family were apparently of the only pure original, that could trace their line directly back to Adam with no Nephilim blood left. And God had to get rid of this fucking horrible species that was taking over the human race. So I had never heard that. I don't know if these guys are kooks in the Christian community.
Why doesn't God just kill the giants, though?
I mean, is there really
God.
any
That's a
such
good
thing
question.
as a kook in the Christian community?
I don't know. I'm not in it. So
It seems like a really roundabout way to kill them, too. It's like, why not just say they don't exist anymore? I'm God.
Right.
Yeah, God is supposed to be all powerful, so shouldn't he just be like, I choose
Yeah.
to instantly vaporize all of them and
Nah.
they're dead?
Hey, one dude, build a giant boat and put 2 of every kinds of animal on the boat.
So these giants or Nephilim,
God likes to go through things very laterally,
Yes.
you know.
and you have to kind of think that the religion that we already covered earlier, Greek, right?
I didn't know Greek was a religion.
Well, the Greek, whatever,
mythology.
the
Yeah.
Greek mythology,
Whatever
right.
their religion was called.
Right, whatever it was
The Greek-
called. I'm sorry. Whatever. Fuck you, TJ.
Okay.
But it obviously influenced later religions, and Christianity is once again dotted with these Nephilim characters,
Of
and they're used exactly the same way. The characters that are exalted of God rise up, and they're able to kill them. You know, they're big tyrants, they're big bullies. They're always sprinkled amongst the people that the Israelites didn't like. You know what I mean? Like the Philistines and the, you know what I mean? The people that would invade or they would counter-invade for time to time. So they were always part of that army, you know?
I mean, look at, like, you probably, did you pull for this episode David and Goliath?
I sure did.
Okay, then we'll even talk about that right now.
Because here's the thing. I went and once again was blown away by the amount of fucking giants in the Bible. And I've read the Bible. I just had, I guess, blanked out on the amount of descriptions there are of there was this giant, and he begat this giant, and he was the brother of this fucking giant, and he was in this army, and he did this,
course,
and he
yeah.
absconded with this woman, and he took this cattle, and he took all the cattle, and whatever it was, you know what I mean? It just on and on. None of them had a spicier story than Goliath of Gath, and I think that that's why he's risen to the top, and rather than give people an unspiced giant, I thought I'd cook him up right on deep fat fried tonight. We're going to talk about the daddy of giants in the Bible. Let's be honest. It's Goliath.
Goliath
It has to be.
Even his name now means giant.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it's huge. I mean, he had a huge... I mean, whatever. He's the giant of giants in Christian mythology.
And I love what they're implying with where his sword is hanging there too.
Oh, we can't see because the video's still up,
Oh,
TJ.
I'm sorry.
You dunderhead.
My
You
bad.
dunderhead,
My
TJ.
bad.
I loved this picture of Goliath. This is really how he's portrayed in the Bible. As this giant, leering giant that loved to laugh at the puny Israelite army, or I guess they weren't the Hebrew army, I guess, at that point. So Goliath was a descendant of the Nephilim, the offspring of the sons of God and their human wives. The Israelites failed to wipe out the Anakites, a subset of the Nephilim, so another bunch of giants in that story I read about last night, in their conquest of the Promised Land. And so the Anakites survived in Gath and its surrounding cities, eventually becoming what we know as the Philistines. So even though Goliath was huge, all of the Philistines were thought, I guess, to have Nephilim blood.
Oh, okay.
So they were tainted. Of course,
fallen ones.
a convenient plot device if you want to really make an enemy out of a neighboring group of people.
They're basically demons.
Yeah, they're demons. They're
Demons, it's okay to kill them. God says it's okay.
You gotta like
Now-
you gotta like old school politics. Not like they're just you have to demonize them. They're literally just demons.
Now, I'm about to blow you guys' minds, and you can go to the next picture if you want, TJ. I pulled a couple of...
Okay.
And Goliath was really used as a powerful symbol in the Bible of Israel's previous failures. It was like the way that they justified wars that hadn't gone in the Israelites' favor. And it was like, oh, we didn't wipe out all of the fucking Nephilim that time. That's why Gath came back and raped us again and blah,
Of
blah, blah.
course.
So I'm about to blow you guys' mind. Because when I looked into this, my mind was blown. How big do you think Goliath was? Because the Bible is kind of not explicit, but kind of explicit about it.
I don't know, maybe 10
Now,
feet?
TJ, I know you have the thing up there, so you don't get to vote.
Like
Okay.
10 feet tall?
Okay, so you think about 10 feet?
Yeah.
So,
I can tell you what I always imagined in my mind.
yeah, what?
I always saw him as being like an 8 to 10 foot
Okay,
man.
so Goliath was either 9'6",
Damn.
That's in the ballpark.
6'6",
Way too short.
or 6 foot even,
Wow.
depending on which part of the Bible you
I
trust
don't want.
more.
I don't want to be. I don't want to literally look down on. I mean, like, is anyone? Everyone here is taller than 6 foot even.
Yeah, so
Dude,
I
no,
would
man.
be. I'd have an inch on Goliath.
Scotty, aren't you? You're 6 foot even, right?
Yes.
Scotty.
So
Scotty,
Scotty, you're
and I
the
are about
size
the
of
same height.
Goliath.
Yeah.
Then I'm not fucking Goliath.
I'm gonna
dude.
start calling you Goliath, Scotty.
Dude,
So-
Goliath is 9 feet.
Yeah,
6
9'6".
inches.
I'm siding with that.
So the Masoretic texts written in Hebrew tell us he was 6 cubits in a span, roughly 9 feet 6 inches.
Case closed.
The Septuagint, or the ancient Greek translation of the Old Testament, gives us...
Is that God's chosen people?
I mean,
No,
I don't know.
The Hebrews are. So obviously the Greeks don't know
Well, they
shit.
give us 4 cubits in a span, which is about
Bullshit.
6'6".
Bullshit.
And the Hebrew text
Oh,
found in the
shit.
Dead Sea Scrolls tells us that Goliath was only 4 cubits tall, which is 6 foot.
That's a typo.
There's no way, dude.
It's a Dead Sea Scrolls, man.
That's
It's
a typo.
considered canon, man.
That's a typo, bro.
So which is it? It's entirely possible that all preserve something closer to Goliath's actual height, and the Masoretic text reflects a later exaggeration. So they think the 9'6" one likely the untrue one if Goliath ever existed at all as a soldier or a person.
I don't believe he did, but
No.
But you have to understand, at this time, the average Hebrew male was 5'6".
right.
So a 6-foot dude would pretty dwarf that guy. So he would be a big fucking fight. I mean, David was probably 5'5".
So it'd be about
He was small amongst.
Well, that means it'd be about the difference between me and Scotty.
Right.
So
So you can see, you know, but in a world where you don't see dudes your height, you know what I mean?
Right.
And Scotty was the average height of a
come
male.
over here, Scotty. Let's see.
Yeah, stand
Let's
next to each other.
Let's do our David and Goliath moment.
Yeah, that's kind of cool because you can see basically how David would have stacked up against Goliath. Hold on, you guys got to walk back. Walk back towards in front of the lights. Guys, look. Fuck me. You're like a couple of retards. You can't do it over there. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. So, yeah. TJ would have been a spectacle. I don't think they can hear you. I don't know how well they can hear you.
Probably not very well.
Get back on mic. They saw.
Shit, dude.
They saw.
Goliath ain't shit if that's all his fucking got is TJ.
So, really an exaggerated figure in a lot of Christian mythology, I think. He's always been portrayed to me. When I was a kid, I was, in Christianity. I was raised as a lightly Christian kid. And he was always portrayed as this huge hulking beast of a man that was like, head and shoulders at least taller than any other man.
And like 10 feet tall.
So I pulled a cartoon for a
Whoa.
video, and you're going to have to skip to around 21 minutes in.
21 minutes in.
But we get to a good look at Goliath, and also a good look at how violent
I've
cartoons
seen this
were.
cartoon.
I know you've seen it, but I thought it would be pertinent for us to
I don't
take
know if I've seen this exact one, but I've seen this show.
Yeah. So here comes the final
Fuck.
showdown with
The
Goliath.
ground is
Damn,
shaking.
he's like the T-Rex from Jurassic Park, dude.
If you see these kids wearing oddly anachronistic outfits,
yeah, they're like time travel.
Yeah, this series was like a bunch of Bible kids that traveled through time. And so anyway, I like listening to Goliath here because he's awesome. He's portrayed awesomely here.
Israelites, I ask again, send forth a man that we may fight together.
We can't let this happen. I will go in his place. Too late. David is there.
David the third.
What is this? You come to fight Goliath? Ah! Is
Ah!
a boy the best the tribes of Israel can send?
I am a soldier of the Lord.
A soldier? I see no weapons. A stick? Am I a dog that you come at me with a stick?
And I shall defeat you even without it.
For your insolence, I will carve your flesh and feed it to the fowls of the air and the beasts of the
I like how they have him
field.
take up the whole screen there.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Damn, dude.
I really kind of I watched this cartoon all the time as a kid. My mom still has them.
It is you, Goliath of Gath, whose flesh will be fed to the beasts this day. So all the earth will know there is a God in Israel.
This will put you and your God to rest. And then all of
Damn.
Judah will be taken over by these, your Philistine masters.
Yeah! Go Philistines! Woo!
Demons, Team
For the
Demon.
battle is the Lord's.
Teamin'.
I come armed with the name of the Lord of hosts,
All right,
which is
enough
the
talk.
mightiest
Have at
weapon
you.
of
Debbie-
all.
Enough!
Yeah.
Yes.
See how mighty
Chop him up.
it is.
Fuck him up, Goliath.
Come on, Goliath, just kill
No,
him.
don't. What are you doing?
He gives him a lot of time here that he didn't need to give him.
It's a pretty
Yeah, I feel like
slow-
Goliath would have killed him about 8 times by
And
now.
David the Lord of Hosts has to wind up a whole lot.
Goliath, you should be able to reach him in like a single step, bro.
He's just waiting. He's biding his time. All right, come on, Goliath.
Jesus.
Damn.
Gory as fuck. You can see like into his head and shit.
Damn, dude, Goliath is fucking dead.
Now, you can pause it now, TJ.
Yeah.
I want to watch the rest.
Well, here's what they don't show you. You see the sword that David is lifting up here?
Yeah.
He went on to immediately decapitate Goliath with it.
Of course.
Does he do it in the cartoon?
No.
Damn.
Of course.
I mean, why not? I mean,
I don't know.
They already showed a big hole through the motherfucker's head with blood dripping everywhere.
So do you want to?
And a man gasping for fucking his last breath. Ah! You know, like, what the fuck? Why not go all the way and show the decapitation? It's biblical.
Then I wonder how they were going to depict it, man. They were pretty fucking brutal, honestly.
Yeah.
For a kid's cartoon.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
a lot of them were like that. The one about Samson and Delilah was incredibly fucking violent as well. But yeah, a lot of blood. See if you can catch him right when he's falling and you can see into his brain and shit.
Yeah.
'Cause he like sits there and dies and then topples over like a big old oak tree. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, for kids.
Yeah. For your kids on tape now. Teach them about the Bible. Yeah, bloody as fuck. Dude,
This
at
is
the
fucking
beginning
metal,
of the
dude.
Samson and Delilah one, I remember him literally beating a bunch of Philistines to death with a donkey's jawbone and them being all bloody and their heads being all breaking arms and
That's
shit.
awesome as shit, dude.
Paul, it's biblically accurate. We
So-
have to portray the Bible as it is.
You can go to the next picture if you want there, TJ,
Okay.
and make sure you take the video down too.
I guess I could do that.
Yeah. So
This is
the Bible
terrible.
is pretty explicit about how Goliath was dressed. And it's pretty crazy how they describe it, considering he might have only been 6 feet tall. So he had a smorgasbord of military equipment. He had greaves, a type of leg armor, a helmet that was like that of the Assyrians. His scale armor was akin to Egyptian armor, and his sword was likely a scimitar, which is, I don't know if it doesn't look like a scimitar in this picture. It looks like a straight sword, which is like an Eastern sword.
Yeah.
So he was kind of like an example of all these cultures that had threatened the Hebrew tribe, and the Israelites. He wore all their armor. It's very explicit about that. So he had these armors from all these other countries that at one point had oppressed the Hebrews.
Yeah, that's
which is
crazy.
kind of interesting.
So they just made him like a big giant
He's a
symbol
boogeyman.
for all their
Yeah.
enemies.
Right. So it's like a 30-pound weight on your head, this type of helmet he would be wearing.
Right.
The T-shirt would weigh about 150 pounds. And it would cost you about 5,000 shekels, which I don't know how shekels trade in current currency, but that sounds like a lot of shekels.
So Goliath was fucking loaded, dude.
It was like walking with a person, like a full-fledged, full-size person strapped to your chest.
Yeah, that's
In
why I don't
terms of
believe he
weight.
was no fucking 6 feet tall, man.
Throw on the ancient warrior equivalent of soccer shin guards or greaves made of bronze. Good luck running at all. And here's a picture, of course, of David about to behead Goliath with his own sword.
Chop his fucking head off.
David, who eventually went on to become king, of course, kept this sword, and even after he fled from Saul, and he quoted in the Bible saying, "There is none other like it." So it was a very apparently unique sword that he had. So we've talked enough about ancient culture. Are giants dead? Are they gone? Is Robert Wadlow the last of a dead breed of giant men?
no.
Fuck no, dude.
No.
Giants are alive and well in popular culture and have been for, since these times. They never stopped being popular.
Dude, people love giants, dude.
We're still fascinated in different ways with the idea of giant human beings attacking us and having to overcome them. And one of the earliest examples I could find that was a little more modern was the story of Jack and the Beanstalk, which, of course, if you guys remember, has Jack climbing up a giant beanstalk into the clouds to this castle where he finds a giant that is guarding all these treasures, and he has to outsmart and outwit the giant despite his small size. It's an obvious, moral to the tale. But in popular culture, it showed up for the first time in 1931, and there's a little trailer here we can take a look at, as a cartoon.
Cool. Let's take a look.
Bloody Goliath.
2-bit.
2-bit.
2-bit to quit. Come on.
UMM TV
Let
call.
the whole world sigh or cry. You're up high in the sky, up on top of a beanstalk, sweeping the clouds away.
This is a Betty Boop cartoon.
Betty Boop as Bimbo?
Yeah, she's
Cool.
she's Bimbo.
Damn.
She's actually Betty Boop the Bimbo at this point. Bimbo, I guess, was not a pejorative yet.
Or maybe it was.
Maybe it was, but not
But
as...
she's like a lovable
Right.
bimbo, like how they used to have like a lovable hobo or something.
Right.
Shout right out to everyone, find your place in the sun.
Yeah.
Up
Show
on
the
top
fucking
of a
cartoon.
beanstalk,
Yeah, you can skip it a little ahead if you want. We don't have to watch it.
Whoa.
Whoa, dude.
Yeah, this is why you don't skip ahead, you know? Now, the giant dropped a bottle or some shit.
Whoa, that cow's gonna get high as fuck.
Take it out of your mouth. More.
Yeah, dude. I like that cow.
Whoa, that's convenient.
Yeah, isn't it cool? I love how everything just becomes what you need it to be in old cartoons.
Big stiff. How to
So
get
this
up
is Jack.
there? How to get up
A little different from the normal story, you know? Jack is thought to have been ripped off when he buys some magic beans at the fair.
Yeah.
Sells his cow for it, I think.
Yeah, he sells the cow for, he's sent off to sell it for food, but instead he sells it for magic beans.
Right, and he plants it, and then this giant beanstalk comes.
Well, I always heard that his mother, like, beat the shit out of him.
Right.
And the beans in the process got flung out the window. And then
Dude, let's be
overnight a
honest.
giant beanstalk grew.
Jack was not fucking gonna be trying to plant no fucking beans. Or motherfucker's gonna be eating that shit to see what the fuck it's gonna do to him.
Yeah. Well, if you plant a bean, you can eat even more beans, Scotty. That's a wise man.
But
a wise man
But
plants
you know
his
what,
beans,
dude?
Scotty.
He's not thinking far ahead. Jack, I mean, look, on a whim he traded
Maybe
the
he
family.
ate 8
On
of
a
them.
whim he traded the family fucking cow for some magic beans.
If he got 10 of them, maybe he ate 9 and planted 1. So he could eat 9 more.
I don't know if he'd have that kind of self-control.
Maybe not. Well, we can watch a little more of this if you want. At least we can see the giant.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're here to. That's the main attraction. You know what I mean?
All right, let's
Yeah,
see
there
what
he
that
is. And I love how he's portrayed here. It's like TJ eating spaghetti.
I had spaghetti last night.
Did you eat it like this?
Yep.
Like just a big endless rope?
That'd be awesome to watch someone eat spaghetti like that. It's like a symphony. Oh yeah, dude.
Did you pluck a little tune on the spaghetti harp, TJ?
I don't like it quite that al dente.
Oh, gotcha. Like a little softer to the tooth.
Let's go.
So
Very
you can
clever.
skip ahead a little bit
Oh.
if you want, and then we'll move on to our next.
See the part where he defeats the giant, maybe.
Yeah. Of course, Betty Boop the bimbo shows up at some point to help. That girl's got moxie. So he basically looks, from what I watched.
Mickey Mouse is there?
I don't think that's Mickey, but
That's Mickey, dude.
The poor magic pen.
they basically trick the giant with his own gluttony.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And,
It seems to me like the giant's kind of an innocent victim in this one.
he kind of is. Well, no, because he dropped a bunch of giant shit on Jack's house.
I mean, he ain't got much space up there. He pretty much takes up the entirety of the land that he lives
Whatever.
on.
You would fucking empathize with the big oaf up in the sky that endlessly eats spaghetti all day.
I mean, why not?
And rains destruction down on everybody else carelessly and callously.
Yeah.
You guys know anything about Gulliver's
He's
travels?
minding his own fucking business.
Whatever, TJ. Just get off his dick, dude.
All
He
right.
doesn't need your fucking
By the way, how big was
white
his dick?
knighting.
Do you know how big his dick
Gulliver-
was?
His
Yes, I
travels-
actually was able to find this. His dick was over a cubit in length.
Wow, cool.
No, not a cubit. A country mile.
Damn, a country mile?
Yeah, a country
That's a long
mile.
ass
Not even a
fucking-
normal mile.
Wow.
A country ass mile.
Fuck.
That's a big ass dick.
That is a huge dick.
So you'll thank me for that, TJ. I was able to find one giant dick fact.
Thank you, Paul.
No problem.
So Gulliver's Travels. Yeah, I know Gulliver. I mean,
What do you know about it?
I don't know the entirety of the story, but I know that he's like in a shipwreck or something. And
Well, he goes to all
He
kinds
washes
of.
up to an island where he's a giant. I think he washes up another island where there's like talking horses. Doesn't he go to an
Yeah.
island where he's a tiny as well? Or
Yeah,
am I mistaken? on
I
that
think he
one?
does. I'm not 100% sure. It's been since
He
grade
goes to all
school.
these different fantastical lands and shit. I
Well,
know
the one that's relevant here is, of course, when he goes to Lilliput. And he is a giant there. And it's kind of an interesting inversion. Instead of them being these cruel, malice-filled things that they have been up to kind of this point, he is just a normal dude that happens to run across a race of people that are just minuscule to him.
Right.
So there have been a couple of movies.
Shit,
Whoa, that's
so
loud.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm gonna lower that down.
Yeah, take that one down a notch. So, this one is from 1939.
I think I've seen this.
Yeah.
On the beach! A giant on the beach! There's a giant on the beach!
Whoa, copyright.
Damn.
Bring derricks, a rig, bring pulleys, a jig, bring whatchamacallits, little and big, a thingamathud, a thingamajig, and all kinds of things and stuff like that there. Follow me.
Shit.
There's a giant on the beach, and his name is Gulliver.
Don't really hear that name too much anymore.
No? So this is just a trailer.
Gulliver's Travels. Favorite story of men, women, and children in every nation of the world. Gulliver. The immortal
Yeah, I've
character
definitely
whose
seen
fabulous
this.
adventures
Yeah,
in the land
it's
of
actually pretty
Lilliputians
cool.
made him a classic of the
It's not
future.
great, but it's got a real old
Gulliver's
charm
Travels
to
now
it, and the
comes to
animation was real good
One
for the
solid
time.
hour and 20 minutes crammed full of laughter and gay music.
Whoa!
First feature-length cartoon in gorgeous
Oh, they're having a gay
three-dimensional
pride parade, I
Technicolor,
see.
with a host of new characters who soon will be old friends. Gabby, the town crier.
Oh, I know. Pfft, yeah.
Yeah, of
but
course,
the
he's my
Iconic.
old friend.
Iconic.
Iconic. But you know what's more iconic, TJ?
What's that?
What about the remake of
Oh,
Gulliver's
hell
Travels
yeah.
from 2010?
Yeah, that's the best one.
Watch the trailer for
Jack
that.
Black, right?
Yes, unfortunately.
What you got against jackety
Not
blackety?
nothing except for this, well, and a few other roles he's done. Oh, you got to turn
I
it
gotta
back
turn
up.
it back up now.
So who are your influences?
Shakespeare, Krakauer, the hot mom who wrote Twilight.
Oh, wow. Oh, scintillating joke. It landed on me.
To start you off with, there's a guy who claims he has the secret to the Bermuda Triangle.
Whoa, the
See you in 3
Bermuda
weeks, and the story's gonna blow
Triangle.
your mind.
This looks terrible. I'm glad I've never seen this.
Jack Black is out on a boat. Oh, okay, whatever.
Why would he sail towards that?
He was sucked into it, TJ.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he
He
was.
clearly steered right into it.
He was sucked in.
All right.
Suspend your disbelief.
Now that would be a pretty fucked up situation.
It would be. And that's why Gulliver's Travels is an interesting story that sticks in your mind. At least this part of it does.
From the studio that brought you Night at the Museum.
Well, that if I was even a little sold, you just unsold.
Yep.
What is this thing?
Where are you from?
I'm from the island of Manhattan.
Were you the president?
I was actually known as President the Awesome.
For the first time in his life.
Wow.
That was.
What
This
the
is
fuck
awesome.
was that, dude?
It is terrible. Horrible. No good and very bad.
Yeah, the trailer can't even
The land of
come
princess,
close
you
to
gotta
selling
employ
it.
some grade A cortage. Could you teach me? Next time you see.
Dude, I want him to just accidentally fall on a bunch of those people and just smash
This dude
them
looks
into a bloody
ridiculous in
fucking
this
mess.
fucking costume.
He does. He needs to go back to forgetting Sarah Marshall because he does that role better.
Got a lot of things going on. I'd like you to be one of them.
This movie, have you seen this movie? Have either of you seen it?
No.
I've
No.
seen it. It is dog shit. Literally not a laugh lands. I defy you to watch this movie and laugh. It is such a comedy, or presented as one, and it is not. It is just like the best. You know how the best moments end up in the trailer?
Yeah.
That is true for this film.
Oh shit.
What the
That
fuck?
joke that landed or didn't land about the hot mom that wrote Twilight, that's probably the best joke in this film.
Oh my god.
And it happens in the first 10 minutes.
Ugh,
What?
hideous.
Finally standing out.
It is a slapstick bunch of nonsense. None of the relationships are believable. It really doesn't resemble Gulliver's Travels at
Vice
all.
President Yoda can run things without me for a while.
But just when he thought he found his place.
Slide to unlock. 12 messages, Mr. Popularity.
They found out who he really was.
I challenge you to a duel. So you accept?
Make a move.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yep. Yep. We don't have to
nothing
watch
else
anymore.
needs to be said.
Let's fast forward and cleanse our palates for a second.
Hold on,
okay?
hold on. Let me just
All
get
right.
straight.
No, go ahead, please.
So, nothing prior to this in this movie has indicated that these little people have this level of technology, but then all of a sudden they just break out with a giant robot.
Yes.
Is that how that works?
Pretty much. Like
Defeat Gulliver.
It goes down basically how it was presented in the trailer, from what I remember. It's
So
been a
they're
couple
like,
years.
they're living in like, fuck, I don't know, like Victorian England kind of ish.
Steampunkish.
times. Yeah.
It's steampunkish. There is some, but there's never any insinuation that they could build something as big as him and fight him,
Then they
especially
suddenly-
in the time that he's there.
And they suddenly have that technology.
Right.
Just do it.
Okay. Just make sure. I just want to make sure I
Yep.
understood what happened.
Yep, that's how it is.
Gotcha.
Let's fast forward to the 1950s, the late 50s, and cleanse our palates with an actually good movie.
Wouldn't that be rewind back to the 50s?
Well, we're fast forwarding in terms of the timeline. We started in 1931. We moved to 1939.
Well, right now we're in.
Well, I know, but I'm showing the modern interpretation
Right,
of
I
these.
gotcha.
So,
So this is the Amazing Colossal Man.
yes, 1957's The Amazing Colossal Man, and I pulled a trailer for it.
This movie's actually really good.
Yeah, this movie is cool.
So I have to turn the volume down again.
Yeah, some of these old trailers are pretty overblown and loud.
Let's see.
Oh shit.
A man who, in a flash, became a living threat to humanity. A danger so awe-inspiring that they tried to hide his existence from the world.
What happened? What made him grow?
Glenn Manning is growing from
It's
8
Viagra.
feet a day. At the moment, he's 18 feet tall. Tomorrow, he'll be 26 feet. The next day, 35, maybe 40. And the next day...
But you've got to stop it.
Glenn Manning will continue to grow until he dies.
What the fuck?
I mean, you got to think for the time, this was all.
I mean, these special effects were state of the art.
And I mean, they're better. They're better, in my opinion, than some of the CGI that's been tried to be foisted on us in more modern times. Pretty cool.
Oh dear God, what's happening?
It's lucky his shorts
What's going
continue to
on?
grow as well.
Those bullets have no effect. They're making him angry. No!
He's pissed.
So pretty cool. If you like old monster movies and shit,
It's definitely one of the better ones.
Yeah, and it's definitely one of the better movies that I can think of that portray a giant human being in any way.
And it's really the cool thing about it is, even though it's kind of like in a time where you didn't really see the psychological delve, especially not in a cheesy schlocky movie like that, it really does
Right.
kind of like delve into his psyche and like the effects of his growth on
Yeah, and his fear of death
personality
and
all, this
all of
shit.
that shit, and how he's perceived as he gets bigger and bigger. So yeah, and of course you saw in his origin story, it was written during the Red Scare, so nuclear, hysteria was at an all-time high.
Cool.
Unfortunately, I think, now maybe TJ won't agree with me on this, the one that people seem to remember more is 1958's follow-up, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, which is not a great movie, in my opinion.
You're wrong about that, Paul. I've actually never seen this. I don't know.
Really?
Nope.
I thought you would have seen this one.
Nope. I hadn't seen it.
Shock. Frenzy.
Frenzy.
I'm gonna go get something to drink real quick.
Devastation. As the most grotesque monstrosity of all. Woman. Woman.
Oh no.
Damn, think about how big
free.
them titties are, dude.
Once a normal, voluptuously beautiful
Once a normal, voluptuously beautiful, jiggly
Until
woman.
scientific experimentation went wrong.
We tried to just grow her titties, but instead we grew everything.
a nightmare of horror and saw descending from the sky a titanic monster whose fearsome touch became a frightful curse.
Oh, shit.
Oh shit, dude, she was infected.
Starring Allison Hayes.
All of you! I'm not drunk! I'm not! You've
God
got
damn
to
them
believe-
titties.
It was right the
Please, calm yourself.
Once she's in the booby hatch,
Ha,
throw
booby.
the key away.
Look at those
That'll
dorks
put you in
dancing in the
Travis.
background. I love it. God, white people are so fucking lame.
Make a wild
We're dancing.
driver, Harry. With 50 million bucks.
Me and Margaret are dancing.
What she saw was beyond belief until others.
I noticed they're
too
not really
faced
showing
this
too much of the
hideous,
special effect other than the
uncontrollable
hands.
Right. They don't. I mean,
Oh,
there are
they're
some
bailing.
perspective shots in the movie, like in the Amazing Colossal
Oh,
Man,
there we
like
go.
this.
50-foot woman, incredibly huge, with incredible desires for love and vengeance.
Cool.
So it's presented kind of from a sex angle. Guys are supposed to be hot for this, and force their wives to go see it.
I think this is a movie about female empowerment.
There you go, TJ. It's a feminist icon film.
It is.
That's your interpretation, anyway.
Yeah.
Not a great movie, but not the worst stinker you'll ever see, in my opinion.
I
If
think
you want to
it's-
see that, you got to see HBO's reinterpretation
Oh,
of this
shit,
in
really?
1993
Oh,
with
fuck.
Daryl Hannah as the 50-foot woman.
Okay.
Which we can take a look at a scene from here. There's no trailer for it.
AmazonWomenPorn.com.
Yeah, make note of that. We'll get to that a little bit later.
That's laughable.
Yes.
Wow.
Worse than the Amazing Colossal Man by a country mile.
How would you get worse?
Yes. They did it. And this movie is abysmal beyond that, by the way. It is. I've seen it as well, and it is unwatchable.
How can you guys say that?
I mean, it's 40 years
Cutting
later,
edge.
for fuck's sake.
This looks like cutting-edge special effects at the time.
Not even close.
AmazonWomenPorn.com presents.
Let's see how big she's gonna be. Beep, 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 beep.
Oh, that's a real convenient pyramid of cans set up in the thoroughfare.
I know, what the fuck.
Good writing, HBO. Good shot composition, too. It's worse than a fucking episode of Tales from the Crypt.
Okay, is everybody all right?
Back in the desert, you gotta call me. The army here for somebody.
Holy shit.
What are you saying?
It is.
Dude, that was the best acting I've ever seen.
I know, right? I'm sorry, I take it all back.
How can you you didn't tell me that this fucking who is that fucking talented actor?
The fact that he isn't one of the main names right up there with,
Did he die or something?
Daniel Day-Lewis, P.S. Hoffman, you know what I mean?
Dude, that was...
Dare I say Sean Penn?
I gotta hear that delivery on that line, because in a lesser actor's fucking hands,
yep,
that would have sounded stilted and awful.
Oh,
but
you're right.
in his fucking capable chops...
Back in the desert, you gotta call me. The army here for somebody.
JD, that actually is... JD, you might not be aware of this. That actually is Daniel Day-Lewis. He's actually trying to portray a B-movie actor.
That makes sense.
It's some serious method acting.
Yes.
How come he declined so much in his later years? Because, I mean, obviously he's still a great actor, but... Wow, he started that strong.
Well,
I mean,
sometimes you hit your peak, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he hit
Kurt
his stride
Cobain
early.
was reported to have said in his alleged suicide note that it's better to burn out than fade away. You know what I mean?
Wow.
On something. You have got to believe me.
Oh my God! It just gets better.
It is. It literally like reminds me of like a slightly spiced and sexed up
What
and
the
violent
fuck
stuff.
is that scream she's doing?
It's the worst scream you've ever heard. It's piercing.
It's awful.
It's like a chimpanzee being killed
She
slowly.
screams like no woman has ever screamed in history. Listen to this. It's like, what?
Why would anyone have to point
Is she
out...
a bird?
Why would anyone have to point out a 50-foot tall woman?
I wonder if she just couldn't sustain one long scream,
I
and
don't
so they
know.
just used all the takes.
Where? I can't see her.
HBO spent a grand total of $10 on the production of this film, all of which went to Daryl Hannah.
Evening, Miss Archer. Good to see you up and about.
Where's Harry?
But don't you worry, Miss Archer. We'll find him for you.
I know where he is. He's with that woman.
Daryl Hannah also earning this paycheck, turning in a fucking Oscar-worthy performance, to say the least.
Stop when I find Harry. I'm just looking for a little closure.
Of course, at this time, unfortunately, the Oscars snubbed, non-Hollywood
I've really
films.
tried to be all modern and adult and post-feminist, and look what it's gotten me.
Oh, this is such a
Now I'm
commentary.
taking matters into my own hands.
What'll she do if she finds Harry?
So it basically takes the commentary that's obvious in the original Attack of the 50-Foot Woman and has her give a monologue about it. And it's that level of depth throughout the movie. It's just one of those movies that's like slapping you in the face with the wet fish of preachiness and shit. And stupid fucking slapstick comedy elements and horrible sets where Daryl Hannah walks around in this absurd burlap sack where she got who knows.
Dude, this movie is like a fucking phone. They say a phoned-in performance. It's like a phoned-in fucking movie. There's just nothing good about it, from what I can see.
But let's take a quick break from Hollywood and let's talk about commercials. Because do you guys know a giant in any commercials?
Yep.
Jolly Green Giant.
The Jolly Green Giant. Let's take a look at one of his earliest commercials.
In the valley of the Jolly, Green Giant.
Every year at the Valley
By the way, still a more convincing giant than Daryl Hannah.
Fair, they judge Green Giant Niblets corn against all comers.
These niblets do look like they're pretty good.
Always wins
The green ribbon.
The judge explains, an ordinary can of corn has lots of water. To
Fuck
keep
that.
his Niblets corn crisper, the Giant gives you just as much corn, but almost no water.
Hell yeah.
Then it's
More
vacuum
corn
packed.
for your buck.
Niblets brand corn is the Giant's own special kind, grown to be sweeter. For the crispest, freshest tasting corn.
With
Try
plenty of
Green
cane
Giant's
sugar
Niblet
added
corn.
for the
Dude,
sweetness.
The
I'm
Giant's
fucking...
green beans
I don't know
win
about you.
first
I'm
prize,
fucking
too.
sold on that corn,
They're
dude.
crisp, young
Green beans look good, too. Look, they
twice
cut them on a
an angle
bias.
For more fresh bean
Or an angle.
flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Try
give me.
Kitchen Slice
Fuck
brand.
yeah, give me those
diagonal
too.
cut
Yeah,
green
those look
beans.
dope. I bet they were good.
Fuck yeah, they were.
In the valley, valley of the jolly. Ho, ho, ho. Green giant.
Damn, he's like their giant green overlord.
So kind of cool.
Yeah. What the
Here's
hell's going on
something
here?
even
you can
more
get one
fun
of these,
than a valley
TJ.
fair. A soft, huggable green giant rag doll. He's 16 inches tall by the
Ooh.
ruler, about a good squeeze wide. And you
it's
can
like
have
the
him for your
fucking,
very own. Just save 3 labels or frozen package
I see where they got the creeper design from.
Yeah, dude.
In Minecraft, that looks just like it.
To Green Giant, LeSueur, Minnesota.
Le Sueur.
Details are in this week's TV guide or Sunday comics. Send for your Green Giant rag doll today.
Damn, I wonder if we can still do that. Probably
Yeah, is
not.
that offer still on the table?
Well, let's take a look at one more. And once again, there are a lot more modern films, too, if you guys want to name off a few. I didn't cover, like, Honey, I Blew Up the Kid.
Yeah.
What's that animated movie where the woman is transported or made into a giant woman? And
Oh, yeah.
She's
Monsters versus Aliens,
Yeah.
I think.
So there's that.
They did a terrible Jack the Giant Killer or something.
Yeah, they did that recently, like 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago.
Sam Raimi did it, and it was really
Ugh.
bad. Yeah.
They have
So there's
Attack
still
on,
a few.
well, not for movies, but I know they have Attack on Titan. That's a
Yeah,
pretty popular
anime,
show. Yeah.
But let's take a look at the wild, wacky, weed and psychedelic-soaked 60s. Right in the heart. With the Village of the Giants. Whoa, this looks like a happening time.
This
Hell
is
yeah.
just the beginning of the wildest, weirdest adventure you've ever seen.
Oh, man, these chicks are out of sight. Whoa!
Well, I don't like that.
That's TJ's nightmare.
Now anything goes.
All right. Like what?
And everything grows.
Everyone's just dancing all the
shit.
time.
There's like giant geese or ducks or something.
And this is where the fun really began.
Okay.
This makes everything grow.
Oh.
out and
Ooh.
leave it alone, huh? Freddie boy, if I want to try some of this stuff, just don't you try and stop me, understand?
Yeah, you piece
And
of shit.
try it, they did.
Oh, yeah, they dropped a tab.
Oh, shit.
Oh, she's busting out of her bras. Whoa! I like how their shirts all break off, but of course they're not naked from the waist down.
Well, everyone knows pants are super stretchy.
Yeah, and they managed to find bras their size too.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, damn it. An H.
Sheriff, we are going to...
Is that Alex Jones?
First of all, there's going to be a 9 o'clock curfew.
That's Alex Jones.
That's totally Alex Jones, dude.
It's young Alex Jones. What the fuck?
Now you know his origin story.
Man, this looks like a groovy time. I don't know about you guys.
It's way out.
Yeah, it looks way out.
Of the Giants.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. That's a big old pair of titties. I have not seen this one. Have either of you?
No.
Whether you like
Not shocking.
But I'm thinking we should.
We're just going to have to show you what's good for you, that's all.
Maybe we don't like your club either.
You're in it anyway.
See what happens when young rebels explode. 30 feet tall.
Young rebels explode, man.
Village
That's not
of the
tinged
Giants.
with sexual overtones at all.
Dude, Tommy Kirk, TJ.
Man, this does look like way out and freaky and groovy in the best kind of way, man. I'd love to do a popper and just sit down and watch this movie with some babes. See what gets started in the conversation.
Yeah,
pit, you know what I mean?
that's pretty hot.
So
Fuck yeah, dude. Let's do it.
let's talk about the elephant in the room. One of TJ's many.
You calling me
many-
the elephant in the room just because I put on a little weight?
No, I didn't. I said the elephant
You're
in
a
the room.
piece of shit, Paul.
TJ's many deviant
When you were the
fetishes.
fattest, I never made fun of you.
How about
Not
fucking
once.
giants? You remember the AmazonPorn.com footnote that we saw earlier?
Check this out.
Whoa.
Well, it
She's
turns out.
smashing that building in between her thighs, and she looks all innocent about it too. Like, oops, did I just kill all those
Oops,
people?
I did it again.
Hey, if it's the only way you can get off, TJ, some people gotta do what they gotta do. It's not her fault she's a giant, and the only thing she can fuck is a building.
Fuck myself with the building. Yeah, I mean, what about the people in that building? What if your mom was working in the fucking third floor of that building?
I mean, look, the third
This
floor.
chick's
looks-
Then
pussy
you have
just.
to cry while you jerk off,
the
I
third
guess.
floor is probably okay.
So do you guys know the name of this? The
I think this is what really happened on 9/11, by the way.
Do you know what philia this is?
No.
Yes.
Do you?
Oh, you do?
Because
Yes.
you've got the thing right in front of you, TJ.
No, I already knew.
Okay. What is
It's
it?
macrophilia.
You're right. It's a fascination with or a sexual fantasy involving giants, more commonly expressed as giantesses, female giants. It's typically a male fantasy with the male playing the smaller part,
She's so big, I'm so small.
God, I'm a weakling.
either entering, being dominated, or being eaten by the larger woman, and it comes in all variations and many
Are
others.
you hungry?
Others involve partners who naturally have a significant difference in size. So macrophilia can involve actual people. There are some people that, hey, I'm a midget and I really want to be dominated by like a 7'4" guy, and hey, I'm a 7'4" guy and I really want to pork a midget, They can do some
It happens,
macrophilia
dude.
together. But for the most part, this is how you see it expressed in kind of art. This is way more modern, obviously, anime tinged. Here's Jessica Rabbit.
They gave her some puffy nipples.
Yeah.
Dude, those tits would smash you, dude.
She didn't really have those in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, as I remember it. I don't think but maybe she was warm because she was in the club most of the time in those scenes. But she's outside in the brisk New York air, or sorry, Toontown air now. And what you can say? The headlights are on, TJ. It never happened to you?
No, that, I mean, like...
They never perked up on you?
I wasn't criticizing. I was just pointing out.
Figure out she could kill you, Paul. She put you between her tits and just go...
Can we just digress for a minute and talk about how many masturbatory fantasies I personally owe to Jessica Rabbit?
Jessica Rabbit is one of the hottest cartoon characters ever.
And
drawn.
I really think one of the cartoon characters that led to what seems to be an explosion of people that are interested in cartoon porn and shit.
Oh, for sure, dude.
Especially the quality of such. The people taking the time to draw pieces like this, which I'm not saying this is like high art or anything, but it took somebody a number of hours to do this shit. Somebody dedicated a lot of their time.
I mean, look at the cityscape here. It's not just her. It's just, like they're having this whole fantasy being played out for somebody. Because it's probably someone paid to have this created.
Very, very well could be true. A lot of artists make their buck drawing different kinds of fetishes, and this is one of them. I pulled a few. Most of them you can't show. I had to try and find some PG-13 ones that I thought we could get away with on YouTube. I also pulled a little article about this that I thought I could read, or maybe TJ could read for us. It's not very long.
Macrophilia. Men who fantasize about sex with giants will use virtual reality to
Also,
make
if you scroll back up real quick, TJ, before you start reading,
Yes.
There are at least 1,000 men worldwide that jerked off to this headline. I'm just letting you know.
At least 1,000. Maybe more.
Men who want to have sex with giants are using the internet and new technology to bring their incredibly niche fetish to life. And virtual reality could be the next frontier. Macrophilia, which translates as lover of large, refers to people who are aroused by the thought of having sex with others who are significantly larger than they are. By larger, they mean huge. We're talking King Kong size or larger. I could be uncontrollably drawn to her beauty and power despite the danger such an encounter would bring, a man called Mark told Broadly. As a superior being, she would have little regard for me other than supplying her own needs.
They're total subs, dude.
Whether it be as food to nourish her superior body or as a sexual play toy to be used and broken after, I would have no other choice other than to submit myself to her. Limited studies of the fetish have found that that it is domination and vulnerability that lie at the very heart of macrophilia. And while it's impossible to actually fulfill the fantasy of having sex, impossible for now, but what happens when we invent the super grow ray, huh?
Yeah.
What happens?
Science has gone too far.
The hubris. The internet and editing technology is allowing men to indulge their fantasy. Photoshop
So basically,
other
dudes,
bullshit. Yeah.
Right. Basically, dudes are increasingly able to find, and not just with giantess porn as it's called, but with other fetishes that in photoshopping and animation and all that shit.
I always saw with a lot of these, like the lunars that people they'll fucking Photoshop in balloons.
Oh yeah,
and
there's like animated ballooner porn too,
Oh, of
where
course.
So it's
Touch the balloon.
So it's super popular. I think I pulled one more picture. I think maybe.
This is the one that made you come.
Yeah, this is the one. This was my favorite. This is, if you recognize them, these are all Nintendo girls.
I see
the queen,
Zelda.
and I agree with this. The queen of the Nintendo girls in giantess form here, Princess Peach.
I think that's
I think it's
Isn't
Peach.
that Rosalina?
Is it Rosalina? Okay, yeah, maybe Peach is on the right. All right, well, whatever. I'm convinced now that Rosalina is the queen of the Nintendo.
Well, she is definitely bigger. She could smash the rest of them. And she probably will.
Well, that's what I got on Giants.
Given the penchant of giantesses. What do you mean?
What do you
Where's
mean?
the rest of the giantess porn, Paul?
Oh, my God. I wish I could show you
We
guys.
barely touched upon the giantess porn.
I saw dudes being fired into giants' vaginas like a missile out of a cannon. You know what I mean?
Cool.
I saw
You
stuff.
know what, Paul?
I've
Say-
seen.
No mention.
I seen it.
No mention of
I seen it.
Harry Potter giants, dude.
No.
No mention of that shit, man.
No, of course, because
People
it's
love
like
Harry
all
Potter.
fresh in people's minds
People
and
love
shit.
Harry Potter right now, Paul. They're upset with you.
It was
dude.
so diverse that I thought we could do this again. We could do Giants Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. Look at a couple other cultures. Look at some more movies.
I'm just.
You're always salty when
I'm
somebody
upset.
fails to mention Harry Potter.
I wanted fucking Harry
I'm
Potter.
upset because
Taylor,
I wanted
a couple of Harry Potter.
Why
freaks.
was there no section about the New York Giants, huh?
Who cares about them? Those
Huh?
losers.
I wanted.
Those
I
losers.
thought this was going to be a primarily
Hey,
New
call,
York
call me when they start
Giants-driven
winning again.
episode.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, call me when they win a ring in the modern
They
era.
fucking suck, dude. The Giants fucking suck.
And fuck the San Francisco Giants, too, or whatever they are now. Are they still the San Francisco Giants?
Pretty sure.
Oh, fuck them.
Fuck them in the ass.
See you guys next time. Come to the meetup.
Yeah, come to our meetup, September 6th. You know where, you know when,
Meet
you know
TJ.
the details.
He's kind
We're
of
gonna
giant.
drink. We're going to raise hell. We're going to hoot and holler and have a hoot and Annie.
It's gonna be
gonna be fun.
It's gonna be a grand old time.
And become a patron, too.
become a patron.
Don't be stupid.